Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the next part of the Bang Shishigami project, where we're going to have a bit of a special session, kind of a special episode going on today. And also, I can say happy 4th of July. This is now, I believe, being posted on Friday, which is 4th of July, so I'm actually going to get one of these dates right for once. And yeah, I know up until this point, we've been dealing with clay throughout the entire thing. I finally went after the session ended last time, did the kind of the cleaning things up, and this top is now, we're hardened up here, we're good. I just kind of threw a real quick scarf on, just get an idea, and we have probably the most evil looking character you can possibly imagine showing up on the screen. So if Bang never actually winds up looking like Bang in the end, he looks like more of a criminal mastermind type thing. And if that's just what he winds up being in the end, that's just what he winds up being in the end. He's looking pretty good. For me, in my mind, he's looking pretty good, but I'm not 100% sure he's looking like the character I wanted him to. But in any event, there's probably going to be actually very little clay work involved in today's activities. In that, yeah, we need to do some figuring. We need to do some engineering. We need to do some problem solving. And we need to do a lot of kind of wire and woodwork. Now, I'm looking at this. If you look on the side, he has that big nail going down the back. Now, thankfully, we're going to be doing that out of wood. I can do this thing out of wood, and we can paint it. And this is one of those things where I might as well, there's not going to be another time to bring it up, so I might as well bring it up now. I know I stated a number of times in the past that I had done a different project in the background before, the Strahl project, from about a year and a half ago, in which case I was doing the woodwork stuff. And now that we're actually breaking out some of the wood from that, if you've never heard of or seen or play any kind of Final Fantasy games, to give you an idea of what that is, I'm going to take the webcam off real quick. This is the Strahl. This is the main airship from Final Fantasy XII. And let me go click a couple buttons here and see from one view. On another, you can see the thrusters. I'm making gestures with my hands, but the thrusters on the back, they open up, they propel you forward, and you can see another kind of more technical drawing on the side, just kind of how that goes about. So yeah, when I'm saying I was doing the Strahl project in the past, this is what I was referring to. And although this isn't everything I have right now, if we click this back, if we click those back off and come here, this is what I have. This is at least the cockpit section of it. I do have more of the underside. So if you look kind of up the top corner of that, you can see if I'm trying to angle this correctly when we turn back, that's what I have kind of going. I do have the prongs that come out the front as well, as long as some of this middle part, but the middle section in there is maybe half done, 2/3 done. It's not quite together, it's not fully painted, so this part is the part that's together, and I can kind of show this one off. But when I'm referring to the Strahl project, this is what I'm referring to. And why that's going to be helpful for this is that in prep for doing that one before, I bought a whole bunch of stuff. So I have dowels and whatnot of every size and shape. Well, size, they're dowels. And I have a whole bunch of kind of pieces like this that I had bought just in case I needed discs, which actually I used none of them throughout the entire process. Every single piece of this, from like the thrusters in the back, is made from a dowel, and I've just been dremeling stuff. Like I said, I don't have any kind of lathe or anything, so everything, all of these are made from dowels and carved down with the Dremel, and it's an incredibly slow process. So that's why I'm not sure. This is an awesome project to have, but I'm not sure how camera nice it would be or video nice it would be. But because the parts, I've already cut the nail two sides, I just need to kind of sand things down, make the edge. If I can take a couple of those discs, put it together, glue it on there, wham bam boom, we're going to have our nail out of all the parts that I had from before. So actually, before I do anything else, this is at least 2 pieces thick. So what I can do is I can just glue those together. Ultimately, I'm going to be re-sanding this whole thing kind of down, but I know it's going to be at least 2 thick. It might, depending on the image I go from, it could be up to 3, but 2 is already feeling kind of like the right size for this to kind of go on there. So what all this is going to mean for, actually, if I'm doing this, I might as well actually attach the top to this, to the here as well, because it's gonna need it anyway. I'm so glad I moved the camera down. That was awesome. Good planning. We want this to be as centered as possible, because we do want this to look right. Alright, we can let that, even if it pops off again for today's purpose, this will be fine. Like I said, I just need to go and sand off this in the future. That's not a problem. I'll be honest, all I had in my truck right now, because we do have a longer term project, so most of my tools are actually at the project I'm working at, not the truck. So all I had was a jigsaw, which I can't guarantee a jigsaw is going to get a straight cut. So I needed to use this end because it was the factory cut edge, and this side is going to turn into the other part, because trying to cut straight lines with a jigsaw doesn't really work. So what we need to figure out is, we need this nail. We need to, when we make this scarf, we're going to do this scarf in 2 pieces. So let's see, do I have a better image to go off of on the side for this? Are you going to be any... well, I guess you can see the scarf that hangs. You know what? No, we're going to stay with this. So we're going to have this part that comes... I am causing all the shadows. We're going to have this part that comes around his neck is also going to be the part that comes around and holds the nail in place. Otherwise, I'm not sure I'm going to get a good seam between where the nail goes in and the scarf there to make that work. So this is all going to be one piece, and then after that's in place, this whole part that wraps around is going to be a separate piece that goes in after. It's going to be separately attached to here. So so far so good. So part of the issue with this is I need this to kind of stick. I can't have this come back down flat. So it's not like I can really glue or attach this to the body. It has to be like 100% separate from the body, because I need space for the other part of the scarf to come down behind it. So it needs to be angled out. It has a little bit of weight to it. I'm going to be adding clay to this to make the scarf part, so we're going to be adding a little bit more weight to it. So we need this to be structural and hook into him at the same time and not go anywhere. So that's our task for today. Again, after this part of the scarf is done, and we do need to account a little bit for it, we're going to have the other part is, let's say this kind of wraps around here. The other one is going to start, I'm going to have at least the seam from the other, I'm going to have kind of come underneath this scarf. So the seam doesn't have to be the perfect like it will on this one. It can kind of start underneath, and you can kind of use your imagination that came under there. And then that's what's going to come down below. So, and I'm thinking, in order to get this solid enough, if I were to bring my cat model or my rain model down here, who both have the scarves, they're my 2 painted ones from earlier. You've seen them, I think, on both the first session, and I think they've had their own separate session where they've kind of popped in. Is all I did was I had made the scarf a physical part of the neck, and so when the head goes down, it has just this little dowel in the scarf part, because it is part of the neck, and then when the head goes down, it kind of keeps it all together. This is a separate situation. The scarf doesn't touch the neck at all. The scarf doesn't touch the head at all. The scarf isn't a part of his anatomy in here. It's a completely separate piece. So what that means is If I were just doing this top, I wouldn't have any problem. I can just kind of mold it around the body and that would be fine. If I just mold it around the body, what's going to happen if I put this in here is it's going to rotate. It's going to want to rotate back. So we need to physically or mechanically attach the scarf to the nail so it all goes in together. Now the nail I'll be able to slide in and out of what I'm going to be creating, but I do need to account for the weight that it's going to give it. So I believe my end result, as of right now, what I am planning, might as well use the pointer, is I'm going to use my good old friend, the 16 gauge wire, and a lot of it. And we're probably going to, let's see if I get this right, because I had pre-planned this before we even before we started this whole thing, is I'm going to start from a corner. I can wrap down around the back of the neck, come up, come over the front, come back. At the same time, they're going to come around, wrap around here once, come back over, and go back down into the shoulder over here. That will give structure that will hold the scarf portion on here, physically connected to the scarf portion here. If I drill down into the shoulders, that will then keep this thing pinned to the shoulders. And I think that's going to be what I need. Now, first I was thinking I was going to go straight down into the shoulder, but if I have both kind of go slightly angled forward, that might be even better because that will help keep it more from rotating back. So either way, we are going to be physically drilling this thing into the shoulder. Put that down real quick. We're going to be drilling that into the shoulder, wrap the wire around, wrap around, and back into the shoulder. And once the wire is figured out, then we can go and start actually molding the actual clay and the scarf on top of that. So this might take some time to do. We should get into doing clay stuff, but there's a chance this just, sometimes wire stuff just doesn't want to be nice. And just keep that in mind. I'm going to get as much progress as I can on this, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. I'm going to give myself a lot more wire than I need, because I honestly don't know how much wire I'm going to need. I probably need less than half of this. But that is going to be fine. Again, even if I have too much wire, I do use this again on the hardening process as kind of guidelines and stuff like that to keep things from flopping over and falling over and whatnot. Let's get some of this stuff that I've brought over here out of the way. I don't need everything here. Don't look on that side of the screen. It's a disaster. Okay. So, what do I need to know? What I do need to know is where actually the scarf physically will come down on him over here. Which actually, give me a second. I want to load an image on my screen so I can look at something a little bigger. So just give me 1 second because I kind of want to get this right. If I drill in the wrong place, I can fix it. That's not an issue. I just don't want to have to go ahead and fix it. So realistically, that's probably pretty close to where we're going to want to come. So let's say I'm something like that. Let's move the wire out of the way so I can get to the drill. Which size bit did I put in here? Okay, we have the exact size thing on here. You know what? I don't need that on his hand. I don't think that's helping anything. How much time's passed? Wow, it's already been 15 minutes. I should actually probably do something constructive. We're going to want to kind of come something like that. that's going to get one side, and we're going to need one on the other side as well. Okay. So we now have 2 holes. Sorry for blowing in here. That just... I feel like whenever I have to blow dust or something out of the way when I'm right in front of the camera, I'm just causing all kinds of weird noises. And it's probably not good. Let's see. I'm not going to need this entire thing. So let's just cut a little bit of U out. I'm just going to do this. And first thing I want to do is, well, A, the more things I can take off means the less things I have a chance of actually breaking. So first thing I do is make sure the wire is actually going to get in there. Where's the hole? Okay, not really finding that opening. Okay, there we go, we found it. Doesn't go in very far. Okay. Yeah, once again, sorry about that, but it's the easiest way to get junk off. Okay, so that hooks on pretty well. Okay, that goes in. Now I'm going to need this to be removable, come in and out a couple times in the end of this. So what I may wind up doing in the end is having one size be like the exact size here and the other one be slightly looser, just so we're not trying to get both of these things in at once in case the angles are slightly different or whatnot, which I can already see the angles are slightly different from one to another. Not much, so maybe it'll work, but okay. But we have at least, there's our starting point. Okay, now comes the fun part. I have lots of bad memories of doing with Rain's model when I did hers, because I spent 2 episodes trying to figure out how to do the skirt, because I know large planes of the clay are not structural at all. So in my first attempt on hers, I tried to do kind of a wireframe dealie on that, and it was terrible. It did not work out at all. But it took like really good chunk of a session to figure that out. So let's just start with getting, you know what, we're not going to need, I'm just going to cut that off right now. Now ultimately the overarching goal is to have this be kind of form-fitting to this, and we are instantly becoming smaller. Once again, we're going back too far still, but that's okay. I said, if we get to the clay part, that's going to be awesome. If we don't, that's not a huge concern. I do need to get this right, though. That's the more important part. Get this part correct. Okay, we're getting close. We're up in the air a little bit. but we're getting close. Now it would be nice to just kind of put this on here and push down, but what I don't want to do is push this down and wind up popping out something up front. I don't want to put any extra weight on that I really don't need to. So I am being a little ginger. Not sure where that phrase came from. I am being a little more ginger though in that regard. Okay, getting close. Just widen you out. I'm just going to take it one turn at a time. Yeah. Yeah. This is also one of the times where I kind of debate to myself, is this worth showing this part on camera? And I think, yes. Do you need to watch the entire session to get an idea of what's going on? Probably not. You can probably skip ahead like another 15 minutes, and I might still be fiddling with this. Whoop. Okay, I see I did pop up some things. We're going to have probably a lot of glue in this area by the end of this. That's going to be okay. I'm not worried. A, you're not really going to see this anyway. And B, I'll just refer to A. Yeah, but no, this is definitely one of those sessions I've quasi been fearing for a while, because I knew this has to be done. And I know I've had issues with it in the past. So I know this can become a thing. But it does have to be done if I want this to perform the way that I want it to. We're really, really close at this point now, at least on this back side. Okay, there we go. We're now kind of sitting on there. If we're up a little bit, that's fine. We are predominantly sitting on that, which is good. And if I am up just a little bit, what is up right here? I can take you and go down just a teeny bit. And now that's sitting right on there. Okay, good. Actual tangible progress. Okay, so this one gets a little easier because now we just need to go something like that. Now when I put the clay on, that will help a little bit too on keeping things together. Now if I'm doing this, I think I need just a little more oomph on that. Okay, so it's all coming together. Okay, so there we go. We have enough in here. If it sticks up a little bit, again, there's going to be clay on here too. So the clay is going to cover any extra stuff, but at least now this has kind of a harness it can sit on. So the next part then is going to be figuring out how I want this to go. So if I'm here, I'm going to want this. So I want that something like that. Not quite, close, but not quite. We go out a little bit. Okay, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. This is actually going better than I thought. I do want this to be tighter though, but I agree with the location that it's in. Okay, so if I do something like that, wrapped around a bunch, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff wrapped around there. Might be a little bit of twisty going on, but at least that's, I think we're doing what I want this to do, which is good. And then we just need to kind of bring it around down to about here. I can take that off. Now, before I go any further on that, although I'm 90% of the way here, the way the scarf is wrapped around the nail, there are different ways we can look at it. We have here, whereas you can see on the side, there's a decent chunk of nail showing between the top and where the scarf hits it. If we come back to this one, it's a much smaller space between where the scarf ends and the top of the nail is. It's really not much more than the width of this. If we come back onto the guy I'm using here, the image I'm using, it pretty much goes right up to the top edge. So once again, depending what we use, and then if we come back to this image, it's at the top edge, and then they change the entire structure of how the nail looks up top. It actually matches how his gauntlet looks with the little kind of divots and stuff in the side. So I think for my own structural reasons and whatnot, I'm actually going to stay with with this one I'm going with and have the clay come all the way to the top, because that way I can just slide the nail in and it will naturally sit where I want it to sit. So structurally, it's going to solve itself, and big fan of that. And I'm also looking, we're about a half hour in, and I'm mostly done with structuring out this section. Because then you're going to come down, and that's going to be good. Now I can let this thing lay down there, because again, this is just going to structure the clay. I can then have the clay, come up more than this. This at least just provides the structure to it. Let's see, so now with that, I'm going to want the last little bit of this, whoop, bent back down again. So let's see, that's going to come down there, and we need something like that, bent down. So now we can just kind of pop you in. You are at the wrong angle. Yeah, this is going to be the trick. This is going to be where I may need to widen one of these two holes. Okay, if we can see why the angles on these are different. I need those two angles. If it's going to go straight down, I need those two angles to be a little more identical to each other, which it's still not. Which is assuming when I drilled it in the first place, they were identical to each other, which may or may not be the case. We hope it's the case. Okay, that went in. That went in, that did the stuff. That's going to come down. Now again, it's coming down too far for this purpose, but at least okay, so I'm close. What I want to do is I want to shift this that way a little bit. Twist you out that way, shift you a little more that way, because I want the nail to kind of start a little more on that side when it comes in. So if that's sitting there, that's going to sit there. Bam. There we go. Let's get our head on here, see how well. God, that face is. Yeah, in addition to how the scarf is wrapped around, I don't know if you saw before, the size of the nail is also different. This is by far the largest version of it, and I am shrinking this down. I do have a larger dowel, but it looks even worse. So we are dealing with this one. So let me bring you in closer, just kind of see how this all looks together. If I get this kind of in the right place, first kind of the image, it's still kind of towards the back. I still want it more, I do want it a little bit more that direction. So I can do so if I move you out, I move you in. And that messes everything up. Maybe it's going to be better if I just keep it the way it was. If you go there, all right, we have that. We slide you in. I do at least want to twist you. I do at least want to twist it so it has that angle and is going back a little ways. I know this feels really dumb, just kind of spending all the time on this part, but this part is actually really, really important. So that's going to go there, and that's going to hold it all together, and then that's going to be fine. All right. I think I have something that makes me feel okay. So with that in place, now we want to go and cover this entire thing with clay. We also need this to be removable. Now we've completely messed up the top of this, but this isn't going to matter. Again, all of this will be hopefully hidden. That's not loose clay. That's actually his head. Oh dear. All right, glue. I can almost 100% guarantee I'm going to run out of all the glue on this, because there is a lot of glue that needs doing. So first thing is going to be just wrapping stuff on here. We're just going to be throwing clay on this thing until it's all wrapped up, and then we're going to start actually molding it into these shapes and forms that we need. But it's just get a base layer first and then work from there. And now when we do the other part of the scarf as well, sorry I just gave you a whole lot of dead time to mull things over, I'm sure. I know I was mulling over what the heck am I doing, but when we come down to the swooshy part of this as well, it's going to be kind of the same general idea going on with that. It would be nice to have one wire going through it like before, but I think if I have one wire kind of coming in and if I have one wire going in and try to do that big swoosh, it's going to try to have gravity come down and swoosh it in. So I might need two wires again to kind of go in to keep it stationary, which is actually going to cause a number of, I'm not going to say problems, but a number of scenarios I haven't had to deal with before on the other scarves. So there is more than likely going to be just a lot of learning process going on with this whole thing. So be prepared for that. I think I had said 2 sessions for the scarf. It's probably going to be closer to 3. There's this whole kind of learning, getting everything prepped up and ready and good and all that. And then I'm going to need, one to actually, or the equivalency of one to actually then mold the top, the equivalency of one to probably mold the bottom. And yeah, that is where we are. That said, all I need to do really on the nail is I just need to kind of sand this off so it looks nice, make the point, and really the nail itself is done. So I don't have much on that to worry about. So the only kind of extraneous thing I have to worry about is like the end of his little puncher thingy that, quite frankly, I'm not sure I'm going to have on in the final product when I actually put it on display, because I'm not sure how I can make that look good. And if I have a choice between making something look accurate or look good when it goes on display, well, I can already see this face doesn't look accurate, so we might just wind up making it look good. This is definitely the most complicated scarf I've ever had to deal with. This one by far takes the cake in that regard. We are using so much glue. I am still surprised it's lasting as long as it is right now. I'm very happy. I think on the previous tube when I had said that, it ran out like instantly after making a comment similar to that, but even if it does, I think I still got my money's worth out of this one. I think it was like $2 for a tube. It's worked out for like the entire project. Like I said, net cost of these models is, I think it's like $16 or $17 per pound of clay, so I figure it's like 16 or 17 for the clay side of things. Figure another 2 for the glue, and I forget what I paid for the metal on that, but it's like another, let's say it's probably not even $1 worth of the metal stuff, and let's say extraneous things. So all in all, it's about $20 worth of materials to do this. So cost effectiveness, it's not too bad. I said, if you're gonna do a hobby, this is kind of a price-friendly one in terms of things that are out there that you can do now. Actually, that's not true. I'm going to get to the paints. When I get to the paints too, we're probably going to be more like the $25 range, which still, if you have price to time wise, is what like cost to go to the movie. I haven't been to the movies in 12 years. I think 2013 was the last time I've been to a movie, but it's probably about the same as cost movies, like probably half the price of like going out golfing for a weekend. And I'm gonna get some 30 whatever hours out of this. I'm gonna have like, actually, if you count the painting side of things, it's gonna be over 40 hours worth of time doing stuff like this for 25 bucks. There we go. Can't beat that. That's the same thing as my Spartan races. I do the ultra, like I said, I do an ultra per year, and for one race, although they are very expensive races, I want to say those are, when I get them on discount, it's like probably around the 200 mark if you get them at the right time of year. But that accounts for like usually 5 months worth of training. So you sign up for one race, you get 5 months out of it. It's like, it's perfect. It's like I can do that for a price of just a couple weekends of golfing or something. You can do months and months and months worth of other activity or getting ready for other activity. And oh, that glue is aiming for my fingers. Oh, this is, maybe it's going to be better. I'm not going to be doing too much more stuff on this. What time are we? What time did I start? I started. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. It's going to be good. I'm not going to get that much done on the clay side. We're going to have this all prepped and ready. My fingers are getting covered with super glue, so I'm not going to get much use out of them when it comes to actual time to model stuff nicely. So this will be perfect. Get all of this necessary part, but kind of annoying stuff, out of the way and done. And I can clean the hands, and we'll go from there. But yeah, no, for a while, for a long while, this has been a part I knew was coming, and I knew I was kind of fearing over, because it's a very technical part. I don't know how long it takes to actually do it sometimes when you have like a camera going. It's like, you always want to show progress. You want to show progress. You want to show progress. And give me 1 second. I gotta get some of this glue off my fingers. It's like you always want to show progress. And I think that's the difference between doing things on camera versus doing things not. It's like my face is what it is. Partly, I think, because this was done on camera. I don't like just kind of staring at it and kind of hemming, hawing this, hat, to the other. You always want to kind of make progress on stuff. And that's both a vice and a virtue kind of situation on this type of, say, activity. So, like I said, this section I didn't know how long would be, but it seems to have worked out pretty well in the end. And as stated before, actually molding it shouldn't be that bad. And then really, once this is done, we're really just on the hair, and he's done. So, get through the next few sessions, and this whole question mark of is he super villain or is he actually a good guy in the end will all come to a head pretty soon. We're almost there. Because right now he's a little funky. Not gonna lie. I still laugh when I see the face. It is so far off of what I anticipated everything kind of looking like. But at the same time, I don't dislike it. So I just smile when I look at it. And I am really curious how well this is actually going to turn out in the end. It's going to be great. I know it. We're all going to love this thing. Okay, the real trick is going to be when I try to stick this back on him again and seeing that the clay has not actually taken up the space that I don't want it to. Because sometimes now, because I've now added more volume to kind of a number of these areas. Now, we were a little loose in here before, and actually any more... Hey, I think I'm finally just about out of this glue. Yep. Alright, glue is finally done. Knew it was going to happen eventually, because I've used so much on this thing. Let's get you out of the way. Which is perfect. I got this at the supermarket, and I go shopping again tomorrow. So... I can always pick up some more. Not gonna lie, I like this glue. Like I said, I used to use the Loctite. This is like half the price, and it seems to last just as long. So, why go back? Yeah, the more glue I get on this thing, the more these wires are going to want to kind of stay together, which is good. I just need to be able to, just need to be able to slide the nail in here, that's all. As long as I can slide it in at the end, that's going to be the big important part. Yep, so this... Because yeah, any kind of glue that helps hold these pieces together will help structure and strengthen everything. It feels bad saying, okay, it's been the full hour. What have I done? I've made this. Woohoo! But it is important. And this would be much easier to do if I'd actually made the point on here first. Trying to go in with a blunt edge is not ideal. But it's where I am. It's what I'm working with. I will have to do a test run and see. I'm going to use a Dremel to kind of finish off this bottom edge. So I just need to do a test run or two on that, just kind of see volume control, how that works or doesn't work. Because that could become a whole issue too in terms of, do I need to change volume for doing kind of those types of things? Do I need to change my audio setup? Because I'm just not sure how that's going to respond to the sound of the Dremel going and doing stuff like that. Okay, there is a little bit more wire showing here. Not you. A little more wire showing. Come on. It's like, I know you're not empty. Okay, I think I saw something finally come out of that. Jeez. Nope, 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 nope. Don't lose that. Okay. It fits in. That's good. It kind of holds itself where I want it to hold itself. Nope. Jeez. We're going to need some order of operations going here. Big ol' order of operations being done. I'll make sure everything fits together now that we have some clay on here, because we're actually going to mold this The rest of this will be molded in place. And we just need that to be removable. So you're going to go in. That's going to come out to about there. Oh, head. That comes up. And there we have it. Believe it or not, that's actually not bad in terms of progress. There is a visual change. My one rule was I want to have a visual change at the end of every session. I think this qualifies as a visual change at the end of this session. Now, unfortunately, this comes out too close to or closer to the neck than I would want it to, but we're going to be playing with that as this goes on. What time are we? We're around 55. No, I still have like another 10 minutes. I can add more to this in 10 minutes. Okay, I don't need that back there. I might actually want you here because we don't want to have you coming straight down. So let's see. You can look into the face of evil right here for a little bit. Now we're going to get our scarf to come down. Right now we're going to mask things out a little bit, as is kind of our usual modus operandi. Mask things out. I'm not going to do any fine details on this one. We've done the work on the day. I just want to get throw some clay on here to give us something to go off of next time. That, and I can barely feel my fingers right now because of all the glue that's on them. So all I'm doing is just adding some clay to this to give us something to work off of in the future. Okay. And then every so often we just kind of take this on and off, and that will help de-stick this from the form we're on. But because we do need it to be removable in the end. So we're going to have a whole lot of kind of back and forth between taking it on, putting it off, taking it on, putting it off. That's going to be part of this process in the next session. Because yeah, so right now we have the lower legs, we have the gauntlet, we have the body, we have the heads. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be part 5. Nail is part 6. The swoosh part's going to be part 7. And the front of the hair is going to be part 8. So we're going to have this is generally going to come apart into 8 different parts, generally speaking, by the end of all this. So I said, legs are 100% done. The body's done. Gauntlet technically isn't because I still have that dumb looking front piece has to get hooked onto it. And yeah, that's about it. So I really only have like two parts that are, two of the 8 are done. And I'm going to be finished, and I'm like at the home stretch of this entire project. So, yep, that sounds right. Okay, so part of this is I made the scarf come back a little far, or maybe kind of go in towards him a little bit. I generally speaking want it forward a little. So let's see how this goes. I don't care that it looks ugly from the back. We're just, again, right now this is bonus clay work that I didn't anticipate getting to today, so anything that happens right now is just get an idea of what is working on this form and what is not working on this form. So that goes in there, that goes up top. If we have our head, I need this to, if anything, that's going to need to fold outwards. But I think as long as we're folding outwards, we're going to be okay. Because we can see on the side, it really does come up quite high on him. I think I want to draw it further out, away, which is fine. I can do that. But it's not a problem that it's going up as high as it is. But yeah, there we go. We have we're getting the beginnings of a thing going on him. This could be good. This could be good. This could be good. This could be good. Or this could be a train wreck. We're gonna find out which. Next time, we're gonna find out which of those two it's gonna be when we come back to hopefully finish this top part of the scarf and get that one in there and done. But overall, yeah, like I said, a little slow at the start, but I am pleased with where we are now. He has just about all of the major elements going for him. He looks like what I want him to look. Well, the face is still super evil villain kind of guy. Otherwise, he is looking kind of like what I want him to look like. So, good big progress. And until next time, enjoy.